Hello, and welcome to today's Saratech Enablement Series. My name is Sarah Utsugi, and I'm the Marketing Coordinator at Saratech, and I'll be your host today. Presenting today, we have Kameron Baker, who is a PLM consultant at Saratech, and he'll be talking to you about what's new in Teamcenter 13.1. All right, hi Kameron. Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How's everyone doing? Hopefully good.
Yep. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Saratech?
Yeah, so I've been with Saratech for almost 2 years now, and I pretty much primarily work with Teamcenter. I install and configure data model changes. I work with Rich Client and Active Workspace, and I have a little bit of CAD integration experience as well.
Nice. Well, we're excited to hear what you have to share with us today. Why don't you go ahead and share your agenda and take it away?
Great. So today it's going to be, they're pretty simple topics, but it'll take some time to get through them. The first point I want to make is why it's beneficial for end users to use Active Workspace rather than Rich Client. I know a lot of users in the past have always used Rich Client, and hopefully today I can convince you why the change to the web-based is going to benefit everyone. And then afterward, I'm going to show you the improvements that they've made to Teamcenter, specifically the workflow reports, BOM management tools, and something new called active folders. So for my first point, Active Workspace versus Rich Client. You know, Rich Client's been around since Teamcenter's been invented. Active Workspace, not so much. But I think the benefits that Active Workspace has over the desktop application is that there is zero install. Now, what I mean by that is on the client side, you can literally just type in a URL and bing, you're in Teamcenter just like that. As long as everything's set up on the server end, you can add new users that same day. There's no need to coordinate with an engineer, get the downloaded files, install. It's a very quick process. And we try to target all users in the web-based application, Active Workspace. If you're a consumer and you're just viewing stuff, you're not an author or a design engineer, it's a perfect tool to use. It also works for design engineers. If you need to create and copy and submit stuff to workflows, that it can handle that as well. So Active Workspace still is configurable the same way that the Rich Client is. If you want to make custom workflows, if you want to add custom items and attributes, that can all be done to Active Workspace the same way. It still integrates with all different types of CADs, Microsoft Office, and it will still connect to the old Rich Client if you're kind of transitioning between the two applications. But overall, the point is that Active Workspace has the same level of control as the Rich Client, but it's just easier to adopt for new users. So getting into the demo portion of this presentation, I wanted to talk to you about the new workflow dashboard reports. So I think last time I presented on this, the dashboard was something new that came in the 13.0 version, but with the .1 version, they're going to be displaying new workflow reports that you didn't have before. As you can see, there's a picture right there. I'm going to go into it in a second, but you can add custom reports made by your own organization, or you can add out-of-the-box ones that don't show up there by default. But the point of the dashboard is to really just provide visual aid for keeping track of what I believe most people use for are releasing parts. So let me exit out of here real quick and I'll hop on over to the demo environment. So I'm going to start on the home page just to show you how to get there. I'm logged in as Ed right now. Nothing, special about me. I've got my reports tile here, but you can also get to it in this vertical global command toolbar. So if I click that, it'll take me to my dashboard. And you can see already I've got a few reports shown up here. I'm tracking who's released stuff. I can look at all the workflows that are released. I don't have that many. If you had a couple thousand, I'm sure this would be pointless. But then I can also see what groups have it open as well. So how you can kind of tailor this to what your needs are, you can add reports here. you'll put your name, and then later on you'll be able to decide what your search criteria are going to be. You can choose your set layout right here. You can decide what charts you're going to add to and the different tables. And I didn't create anything really right now because I'm short on time, but they'll show up here. Now, if you don't want something that's already here or you made a mistake, it's pretty much easy. Just highlight it and then just click remove from dashboard. Now, this shows you just very brief information. If you want something a little more detailed, you'd come over here to templates, and I'm going to type in workflow, and I'm going to come down to one of the ones we just saw. So workflow is initiated by group. If I come over here and I need to open this. There we go. If I open it, I get that same bar graph before, but now I get detailed list of every item and the workflow that it got submitted to right under here. Now this could be a lot of information. So if you want to drill down to a specific user, let's say I choose Ed. It'll bring up only workflows released or participated in by Ed. And that way it lets you kind of narrow it down to a specific item or maybe a specific workflow that you're interested in. And you can customize this table too. If you don't care about creation date, but you'd rather see who was the last modifying user, not just who initiated it, you can add that here as well. But overall, the point of this new workflow report is to just give you a better idea of what's going on at your company. Instead of having to track down stuff manually, it does it for you. So let me head back on over to the presentation. There we go. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the workflow. Now I'm going to move on to the BOM management tools. Now there are two that I'm going to talk about today. The first one is the restructuring commands they've added. Something called insert and remove level. These commands are supposed to help modify a structure by moving existing components, or you can bring in new components and place them under a new parent item. This will create an updated new branch in your BOM. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here I have a quick video. It's going to go over an example of how you would use the restructuring tools. So as I was saying, I've got a cross-cart assembly here, and they're going to be moving the sunroof assembly and the music system assembly, and they're going to put it under a different parent item. So here you see they went up to edit structure. This will just show up in your BOM management tool inside of Active Workspace, and they're going to click the insert level. And what this is going to do is bring up a dialog off to the right, and it's going to ask you, are you sure you want these two components? And what they're going to do is just add their own unique ID, a name, and maybe a description here, and they'll click insert to new level. So what this is going to do here is it's going to move those and put them down in a different parent. And he'll scroll down right here. Oops. There we go. Sorry about that. So yeah, he's going to minimize the accessories, and here you can see it placed the sunroof and the music system underneath the optional equipment, and it kept all the references and any effectivity that was a part of that component. So on top of adding it, you can actually remove levels. So here they're going to remove a wheel assembly for a mountain and climber wheel, and you're going to see how that plays out. You can right click and you can have the same insert or remove level. So there's two different places you can access these commands. It's asking them right now, are you sure you want to remove this? Because it's much easier to insert things in reverse than it is to remove things and reverse the action. So he's going to remove it. And oops, I'm sorry about that. My finger crossed over. So what will happen here is it won't remove the components. What it'll do is it'll actually remove it from that parent, the wheels assembly, and place it under the tire and wheels parent assembly. So as you can see, it expanded, put all the different climber and mountain wheels all underneath the tire and wheel parent. This feature will help reorganize your BOM a lot quicker if you need to structure it differently and just make things a lot more streamlined. So the second tool I wanted to talk about with BOM management was the Smart Discovery. What this does is it helps you find specific parts, say within like a large assembly, very quickly. It'll let you filter what criteria you want to search for in a dialog box that'll look just like the one that you, just like the global search feature that you've had. So for those that haven't used Active Workspace, that'll be something new to you. But for those who have used it, it'll look pretty similar to what you've searched for in the past. Another thing that they've added is the or and logic criteria. So if you want to look up a certain attribute, but 2 different or 3 different values for that, it lets you kind of narrow down your choices, but it makes sure to capture the data that you want to capture, I suppose. So in this example, we've got the cross card again. They're going to go up to filter right here, and you'll see this filter tree on the left. It'll look pretty similar to the search tool that you've probably seen before at the global search tool. And what they're going to do here is they're going to go to an attribute called AIE exported, and they're going to choose the blue seat value. And when they click that, it'll isolate only components, there we go, that have that attribute selected. And he's going to try to expand it down to the very low levels. And then here, he's going to select an OR statement. So it's saying if either of these are selected, then all those attributes will show up here. So now he's got 2 different components, one with the blue seat, one with the fuel tank. So that was the OR logic. Now the AND logic comes in when he selects a different attribute. He selects a sequence number of 60, and it filters down back to the original blue seat component. And you can keep track of what's being filtered right up here. If you want to remove something, you just click this exit button. But overall, this is just supposed to make it much quicker to find what you're looking for. If you don't know the item ID, but you know a few attributes, this will help you get there much, much faster. Okay, the third and final feature that is new to Teamcenter 13 is something called Active Folders. Now this only occurs in Active Workspace only. The other 2 examples can be applied to the Rich client, the desktop application, but this one is only in the web-based version. And the purpose of Active Folders is to make a simpler way to organize your data into standardized folders that will update for you whenever someone adds to it or if they modify an item within it. This saves time if you manually are placing, specific items or objects in a folder, like NX parts or, certain released parts from workflow. You can set the criteria using Active Folders based on any attribute, release status, last modified date, etc. So here I'm going to get into an example of the Active Folders. So Active Folders shows up here on your left global toolbar. So it'll follow you anywhere you go inside of Active Workspace. And this is the user interface you'll see. So they're going to click on one of the folders and they're going to add one themselves. They're going to make a brand new folder, give it a name, a description, and they're going to search for specific workflow released parts. So it adds it to the list of folders that you see right there. And they're going to go over to the Rules tab. Now, what the Rules tab does is this is what lets you set your criteria. So for this example, they're just going to put a star to encompass all the parts in the Teamcenter database right now. But as you can see, the filter list, just like the Smart Discovery and the Global Search toolbar, it gives you all the attributes here with all the available values for those attributes. And for this one, they're not going to select anything. They're just going to click Save, and it's going to grab all the data and all the items inside of Teamcenter. And as you can see here, the contents is quite large, almost over 200,000 documents, parts, items. So now we're going to create 2 subfolders underneath this. And they're going to be specific to, and they're going to be based on a release status. So the first one we'll just call Approved Status. And that'll show up right underneath release parts. It depends on which folder you stand on when you create it. And that way it'll know, is this a child? Is this a parent? Here they're going to the Rules tab again, and they're going to scroll down to the release status, and they're going to choose Approved. Now, there's a lot less items that are approved versus all the other releases. And you can actually get a glimpse of what you're selecting off on the right. It'll show you the results of the criteria that you select. And then when it's done, you can go back over to Overview, and it'll show the contents right here again. So you can take a look at all the different parts that have been released under the approved status. Now they're going in and they're making a second subfolder. This one will be for the TCM release status. And what they're going to do is add the folder here, and they're going to go through the same process as before. This folder is a parent or a child of the released parts folder. You can come down to the rules, down to the release status attributes, click the TCM released status, and it'll find all those items and business objects, and they'll put them all under these folders. You can browse the contents by expanding the folder here and looking at them in a list. If you click the folder itself, it'll show the contents in a different view over here on the right. And if you want to browse the criteria here, it's gonna, yeah, there we go. They're gonna add a third folder outside of the release parts. And this one is going to look for scheduled tasks, recent ones. And the criteria for this one will be based on a date that they enter. So this one is outside of the release parts. It's not part of any of these other folders. It's its own parent. And this time they're going to go to advanced search instead. This will look similar to how your advanced search works in Rich Client and Active Workspace. They selected the general advanced search, and here they're going to type in scheduled tasks for the type. And they're going to choose a date that they were created afterwards. And here you can see a list of results that I've already picked them up, almost 10,000. Click Save, and it'll gather all those scheduled tasks right underneath this folder. So that way you don't have to go out and hunt for them yourself. It'll always be here for you to view. So one thing that you can do that's also useful for these folders is you can export these folders. So they just came over here. Let me back up a little bit so you can see there's an export option right here in the Overview tab. They click that, and they're going to export it, I believe, to Excel format. Give it a second to think. It'll show up here in your browser downloads. you can click it, and there you go. Oh. And they're going to do another one here. I'll pause it so you can take a look at the export. There we go. So here you can, let me back up just a little bit. Here you can see it's got the name, the date modified, and maybe a description of what you're after. So that way, if you want to search for a specific keyword in the Excel document, you can look for it here, or you can share this with someone outside the organization that doesn't have Teamcenter or isn't connected to your company. So that's it as far as the demo goes today. There are a few things I want you to take away from what you saw today, and that is that the Teamcenter, Rich Client, and Active Workspace, they both, every time a new release comes out, they get more features, they get more powerful, more robust. However, we're seeing a lot more exclusive features on Active Workspace, which is the web-based version. That's why we're saying that it's a lot better for end users to use, because it's going to give them tools that they wouldn't otherwise have in the Rich Client. So for those of you that only use Rich Client, I'd really consider thinking about switching over to Active Workspace. Maybe not just do it in, like night and day, but maybe just poke around and figure out if that's really a better match for you. And if you're already utilizing Active Workspace for your users, go ahead and investigate these new features I've covered today. It'll really, I think some of these will really benefit your speed on releasing stuff, keeping track of workflow releases, and just reorganizing your bill of materials.
Nice. Well, thanks so much, Cameron. Now we can enter the Q&A portion of the webinar. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and enter them in the questions panel. It does look like we have a few questions already coming in. The first is, for active folders, can you share your folders with other users?
Yes, you can. There was a little tab back there called Share. Actually, it's a tab called Share. And what this will do is you can share whatever folders you create and the contents in it with specific users, or if you want to share it with your group or your project team, you can. Now, I will say this, that administrators are the only ones that can make one or several active folders available to everyone at once, to your whole organization. So if that's something that you want to share with absolutely everyone in your organization, you'll have to talk to your administrator about that.
It does look like we have another question. It says, what's Saratech's recommendations to move from Rich Client use only to Active Workspace?
So there's no one way to do it. Obviously, every company's different. Some people have 5 users, some people have 50 users, and you don't want to just have everyone start switching over to it immediately, right? You're going to probably have some headache, like, where do I go to open something, or where do I go to copy stuff, right? So we find that the best way to do it is with new employees, people that maybe aren't familiar with Teamcenter at all. They're usually the best guinea pigs to start making this transition over to. They don't really know anything about it. Their cup is empty. You can fill it with Active Workspace operations. And then once they become proficient at it, they can teach others. And that way it kind of makes little pockets of admins everywhere. So that way it's not all going to one person trying to solve everyone's problem.
So we have one more question. It says, with this new release of Teamcenter, why is there an urge to move toward Active Workspace, or why now?
So good question. It seems like every release of Teamcenter that we keep seeing, the Teamcenter 12 series with Active Workspace 4, Teamcenter 13 series with Active Workspace 5, they keep bringing out more features specifically for Active Workspace and kind of not including them in the Rich Client. So, and on top of that, we're also seeing features that were available in the Rich Client only are now becoming available on Active Workspace. Because before you always had to say, should I compromise, performance and functionality, which Rich Client gives me, for a better user interface or a smaller install footprint for Active Workspace? But Now we're seeing the newer versions can handle the performance, and they've got all the same features that you've been used to in the rich clients. So I think that's why the push now is going toward web-based, because it can handle the same things as before. Plus, it's got all these other benefits. Why wouldn't you? So.
Nice. Well, it looks like that's all the questions we have. Kameron, thank you for your answers. But for everyone still online, if you have any additional questions, you can always give us a call on the number on the screen or email us at info@saratech.com. We have a team of experts, just like Kameron, who are ready and excited to help you out with any problems that you may have. So always know that we're here to help. So if you're ready to take it to the next level, Saratech offers much more than just software. We have a wide variety of options for training, services, and 3D printers. So again, if you have any questions about that or about today's topic, you can always email us at info@saratech.com. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Kameron, and have a great day.
Thanks for checking out our channel. If you like what you saw, make sure to like and subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any new videos. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter for the latest engineering news and information. And to see all of our upcoming events, please visit our website at saratech.com/events.